make a break from Donald Trump to make it clear that Donald Trump isn't a Republican, that we are not like him. If we are to have any future as a party, and we have a very important party and a very distinguished party, if we're going to have any future as a political party, we cannot be like Donald Trump. So I think that it's important to repudiate Trump. I'm not sure that many people would join me in that, but I really think that Republicans, lifelong Republicans, true blue Republicans, have to take a clear position that we are not like him.
The criticism towards you by saying something like that would be, you're a rhino, you're an establishment Republican, you're what's wrong with the Republican Party. How do you respond to those critics?
Well, I spent 26 years in a statewide elective office here in our state as a Republican. I ran 5 times successfully as a Republican candidate statewide. I won election as a Republican when Republicans just couldn't get elected statewide. When Kit Bond lost an election, when John Ashcroft lost an election, and they were out on their ears politically, I took them into the Attorney General's office and gave them a home until they could reestablish themselves politically for the benefit of our state. When Clarence Thomas was in trouble, I stood behind him. So I believe that I have done as much for the Republican Party in our state as anybody I can think of. And if people say, well, that's establishment, why, we're going to write you off. We're going to write off people like you. We're going to write off people who won elections. Well, then, where are we? What's the future of our party?
I want to make sure I don't put words in your mouth, and I want to make sure people understand what you're saying. You're saying that you would rather have Donald Trump start an independent campaign outside of the party than win the Republican nomination.
Well, I'd rather have him just go back to Trump Towers and enjoy his suite. But I would rather have him run as an independent than to sully the Republican Party with his presence and create the impression that he is the Republican Party. He is not the Republican Party. You know, the history of the Republican Party. What is the origin of our party? The origin of our party is Abraham Lincoln and his great mission to keep the Union together, to keep us together as one united nation. That vision of the Republican Party does not square with somebody who is going around criticizing women, abusing people, making fun of people, making fun of disabled people, mimicking them, Hispanics, Muslims, all of that. It is the absolute opposite of Lincoln's approach to what politics should be.
When you talk to other Republicans privately, do they share your concerns? Are they afraid to speak out? What are you hearing from other Republicans privately?
I think there's a reticence to speak out. I hear a variety of things. I hear people, well, there are a lot of people I know who say anybody but Hillary Clinton. You know, they are just so opposed to Hillary Clinton that they'll take absolutely anything. But I wonder if they have given any thought to our brand as a party and what we stand for, and whether we are really like Trump, and if we are like Trump, whether we can survive, and frankly, whether we deserve to survive.
How do we get out of this malaise we're in if it's not one man on a white horse coming to save us?
Well, I think a starting point is to try to understand, well, what does the Constitution tell us? How is it structured? Because a lot of people, myself included, would say, well, we're constitutional conservatives. What does that mean? Well, it means that the structure of the Constitution was created in a way that made it possible to hold together this diverse country. And that meant not that one side ruled all the time, got its way all the time. Well, we win an election. A lot of Republicans are saying this now. We won an election in 2014, and we still haven't defunded Planned Parenthood. Well, I think there has to be an understanding that the process that was created by the people who wrote our Constitution is precious, and that is the greatness of America. And it is not fast moving. It does not turn governmental decisions on a dime, but it creates this mechanism which is complex, checks and balances, all kinds of interests are weighing in, but it allows different opinions to be heard and to have some influence in creating governmental policy. And I think that it's important to just think about the Constitution, the purpose of the Constitution, the structure of the Constitution, and how the Constitution really works against the I need mine now, this is my way or the highway. It works against that way of government. It is more complicated, but it is a very precious system that we should be protecting.
Sounds like the people who are critical of the way President Obama is using executive actions want Donald Trump to do the same thing.
I think that's good. I think that's true. It's odd to me because this is, when you think about, okay, what's wrong with Obama? Obama doesn't understand politics. So he doesn't understand working with Congress. He doesn't break bread with members of Congress. He doesn't try to work things out with Congress. It's his way. And frequently it's his way through executive orders. Okay, forget about Congress. I'm going to create this new policy on my own. And that is really a Trumpian position when Trump says, I am going to make America great again. I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to tell you what my policies are. How am I going to work with people in Congress if I've just been calling them a bunch of ignoramuses? How is that going to work out? So I think that there is kind of an odd parallel between the style of Obama and the style of Donald Trump.
Are you, Senator Danforth, supporting one or a number of candidates in the primary? What's your? Where are you throwing your political support?
I'm not, because I'm a member of the Presidential Debate Commission, which is the commission which puts on the main event presidential debates that occur in September, October of election year. And we adopted a policy last September that we could not individually endorse presidential or vice presidential candidates. So I can't do it. I have my thoughts, but I'm not. I can't do it.
If it comes down to Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, who would you vote for?
Wow, what a nightmare! That's awful. I for all the reasons I've given, I think Trump's approach is not what America's all about, and I think that Clinton, when you talk about right track, wrong track for the country, what's her approach? Well, she was the Secretary of State. She was really an architect of a foreign policy, particularly in the Middle East, that just did not work and backfired. And then domestically, her campaign has consisted of a lot of new spending programs. We already have a national debt knocking at the door of $20 trillion. She's proposed at least an additional trillion of new spending, which is going to make the country weaker. So my hope is that I'm going to have an alternative to the bad one that you just put before me.
Senator Danforth, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
950, Big 550, KTRS.
This is McGraw Live on KPLR 11.2, STLtoday.com, and the Big 550 KTRS.